So as far as the solar industry, you know, you already know, you've already heard talk about that. It is a fast growing industry, but I just want to reiterate some of the things that are right now going on in the solar industry. It's not just including the solar industry, but it's also community solar. We'll get into that in just a minute. And it's just also going into green emissions, and we're doing away with the electric grid. Basically, that's what's happening. So in the last decade alone, solar has experienced an average growth of 24% rate. Again, what we're doing is we're moving away from the grid, because the grid, as you know, it is dirty energy. As a matter of fact, the solar industry already is replacing all of the people that are supposedly losing jobs in coal and in mining and all of those things. The solar industry has added triple employment to the industry, replacing all of that. So it's actually growing at a huge rate. I would still say that we're in the forefront. Right now, we're still around 3%. Millions of people have gone solar, but it's projected to triple by the year 2026. Whether that means that we are going actually solar, or we're getting away from the grid, that's what that means. Okay, so we're using either wind, solar, and other types of energy, so that we are not using natural resources. So thanks to the strong federal policies like the solar tax credit, which several of you just mentioned about, the solar tax credit right now is 30%. That's 30% of the cost of the system. So if the system is $50,000, the tax credit is 30% of that. Now, if the person files taxes, so if they get, they pay into their jobs, they have taxes taken out, federal taxes taken out, that is what the credit is. So in other words, if you worked a job and you put in, let's say $15,000 into your taxes, you paid into taxes $15,000. If your solar tax credit is 30%, or let's just say your solar tax credit was $20,000, you will get that full $15,000 returned in your refund, because if you put in 15,000, your solar tax credit will allow you to get everything that you put in. Okay, so what happens to the remaining $5,000? It rolls over to the next year. So you can roll over up to 5 years, but you will get all of that 30% tax credit when you go solar. So that's something to talk to your customers about, is to even sell them on that tax credit. My tax credit was $24,000, and it is true, you do get it back in a refund. So whatever you put into the tax, you do get back that tax credit. Now, if you have customers or clients that do not pay into the tax, maybe they're on Social Security or they're retired, then they do not qualify for the tax credit. Okay, so if they don't qualify the tax credit, it's still the benefit to go solar. You might want to try leasing options or PPA options, or still purchase options, because it does add value to the property. So there's still that on there. So there have been rapidly declining costs for the equipment. Just twice this week already, the batteries have dropped in cost, and it's been amazing to see that drop just twice this week, just battery costs. So increasing demand across private and public sectors for clean energy. There are now 26 million homes powered by rooftop solar systems, and in the future that there will be other means of using clean energy that is not so much the solar panels. So there will be batteries that we will implement in the future that will also get rid of dirty energy. Okay, so we'll get into that in just a little bit. So 255,000 solar jobs today. The widespread adoption of solar power will create new jobs, potentially employing, this is a projection, we're at 255,000 right now. By the year 2035, we are expected to have employment in the solar industry over 500,000 and more employment in the solar industry. So as you can see, if you're selling solar right now, you're part of the beginning movement still. Okay. So why work with Solar Energy Plus? We talked a little bit about this. Now we have a Salesforce team with training and a sales plan for success. So let me talk a little bit about that. I have actually worked with companies that are, you would say, that are larger solar companies. Now, these larger solar companies, what happened, and especially when the net metering 3 changed, these large solar companies are not favorable right now. And here's why. Because when you have 1,000 agents at one time working for larger solar companies, they had this, and it happened in Sunlight Financial. One company crashed that solar financing company because they had 1,000, 1,500 something sales reps, and all of them got paid for a project midway through projects when the net metering 3 changed. So what happens was all of those projects got canceled. Thousands of projects at one time got canceled because of how large the solar company was, and it actually crashed the finance company. Because
Yeah, what is?
So net metering 2, basically in a nutshell, what net metering 2 is, when your system is producing enough energy, okay, let's say you needed 1,000 kilowatts a month to run your house, okay, of energy. Now we create systems where they completely offset that 1,000 kilowatts per month. Okay, so what happens is when you have an overage, let's say your system is producing more than what you need for that day, right? It's sending power back to the grid. Now, because the electricity is going back to the grid, the PG&E company, in net metering 3 guidelines, the PG&E company has to purchase that electricity. Okay, does that make sense so far? Yeah. So when your system is overproducing, for example, like right now, my system is producing 80 kilowatts a day, which is huge. It's a lot of power. I'm not using up 80 kilowatts a day. I'm probably only using 30 kilowatts a day. So all of that excessive power for this day is going right back to the PG&E grid. PG&E has to buy my power from me. And that's called net metering. That's net metering. There's an exchange right there, right? Now, when my system shuts down at night, because solar works at night, when my system shuts down or sleeps, as I like to call it, sleeps at night, I need power. My system is not producing any more power because it's sleeping. So I buy back that energy from the grid at it's a 3 cents per kilowatt under net metering 2. Okay, it was 3 cents per kilowatt. So I am actually making more money through the night with PG&E buying and selling my power than I am during the day. Okay, so PG&E got smart, and PG&E says, well, if I am going to have to give you power back at night, I'm going to sell it to you for 75 cents, no more for 3 cents. It was a 75% increase under net metering 3. Now that's why net metering 2 was such a huge rush, and literally thousands and thousands of people were trying to get into net metering 2, which ended March 15th of this year. Okay.
So that doesn't exist anymore.
Net metering 2 does not exist. Net metering 3, where it is in effect right now. So PG&E is saying, I'll buy your power from you for 3 cents, but I'm going to sell it back to you for 75 cents. So it's creating this true up, right? Have you ever, the true up bill, it's it's huge. So what the solar industry has done, the solar industry has dropped the price of batteries substantially, so that when nighttime comes and your system is sleeping, it's drawing power from the battery instead of drawing it from PG&E. Right?
Somebody told me that PG&E doesn't have to buy.
I don't believe it's true, because the net metering is the process, is the guidelines in which we are exchanging power with PG&E.
Okay, yeah. They said if PG&E has enough electricity, whatever, that they don't have to, buy your power if they don't want to.
Well, there is a net metering 4 already coming into effect.
So what's the meaning?
Probably what you're talking about right now, where PG&E is creating the guideline and saying, well, I don't want to buy your power at all. You just go without power.
So which one was the one that ended?
Net metering 2 ended. Yeah, so we're in net metering 3 right now, but I believe that's probably going to be a part of the net metering 4 plan, where PG&E is saying, I'm not going to buy any power from you, and if I don't get your power, I'm not going to give you any when you need them. So this is where it makes the batteries valuable. All of the ones that I've recently sold, I've only sold them with the battery. It makes no sense to not sell them. One, you're adding more value to the system when they have the battery. You're adding a little bit of a cost, but you're adding that value. Not selling the battery is kind of somewhat of an injustice to your customers right now. So you want to make sure that we're pricing especially the sales reps, that we're pricing out our systems with the batteries included already.
So, okay, so that's how you want us to do it.
Yeah, include your,
batteries. That way at night, include the batteries.
that's correct.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
In the winter. Over
Mhm,
all stinking month.
mhm. Well, the solar panels are made from a crystalline, and I know this is going to get really scientific and boring here, but the sun is still out whether or not the overcast is there. So the solar panels are still going to pick up, they're called direct current. Okay, it's still going to pick up the rays, the direct sun rays. So I monitored my system this last winter with the app, and I watched it as it throughout the day, the winter. It still produces just maybe a 20% decrease, 30% decrease, but it still will give power. And now again, I'm under net metering 2, so I'm not worried about that. But in the net metering 3 customers, you still want to make sure, because your batteries can push a 10 kilowatt battery, 20 kilowatt battery can power up your house. Yeah. So you'll be. Mhm.
So which plan is the one that gives you the true up without them charging you all that you need?
It's the way you design the system altogether. So the sales reps, you're always wanting to get their utility bill. And that's why the utility bill is so important, because the utility bill gives you their usage throughout the whole year. And typically people have their patterns and how they use the electricity. So you take that whole yearly and that annual kilowatt usage, and you design the system according to that design, to their particular use. And then the battery is for using at night and drawing from at night. So they should not have a true up bill if they have a battery in there. If they do, that is because their habits have changed, and maybe now that they've gone solar, they're keeping their AC at 60 degrees instead of 70 degrees like they were. So there's some sort of a change. So if you can add some extra power or upgrade that battery, the battery is going to be a huge factor in moving forward in the solar industries. Yeah. So if no more questions on that, anybody on the line, if you don't have any more questions on that, there's 20 chats. I don't know if you want to just read that.
So in order for this not to get a true up bill, it's always good for the batteries. There in what PG&E have to check, right?
100%. You want to get as independent and away. Now, let me say something about PG&E. PG&E is not an they are not producing electricity for us. PG&E, we get it all the way back from the power plants. There's 3 power plants. There's a West Coast plant, there's the East Coast plant, and Texas is on their own power plant. That's where that's where this power originates, from coal, from natural resources. That's where we get our energy from. PG&E and MID, all of these utility companies, they are transmission and distribution companies. They are not electric. They are not the origination of where our electricity comes from. They only monitor the transmission and the distribution of it through the power lines. So we're paying PG&E to send us power. We're not paying for power. We're just paying for them to get it to our house through the power lines. So that's what PG&E is. They're a transmission and distribution company. So that's why if you look on your utility bill, every single utility bill, it'll give you a transmission charge and it'll give you a distribution charge. If you find that there, it is probably 50% of your bill is going towards that. And let me add this,
You said transmission and what else?
distribution. So when you get to when you go to the power plant, okay, from the power plant to your house, we're using up our natural resources for energy. That's why it's called dirty energy, because we're getting it from the ground. So they named it dirty energy. When that energy comes from the power plant to your home, you are losing, statistically, if you study this out, we are losing 90% of the energy when it comes from the ground to our house. 90% of it is lost in transmission. Now, there's reasons why the energy is lost, but regardless, so much energy is lost in that process there. And that's another reason why the grid is so stressed, because it doesn't have what we extract from the earth. We're losing 90% of it. So that was free right there. So I'm going to move on. If nobody has a question online about that. Okay. We are not, excuse me, we have a Salesforce team that we have training. And that's another thing about some of the larger companies where they have webinars, but they don't have contact training. There's no contact training. We are independent contractors, and you're basically left up to yourselves to figure out, how am I going to grow this? How am I going to campaign? What am I going to do? There's no ideas that you can glean from certain companies. And I think that's one of the reasons why independent contractors, they start off well and then they stop, because there's no interaction with other sales reps and people. So we are not independent solar agents that work independently. Solar Energy Plus, we are independent solar agents and contractors, but we work together. So we have campaigns together. We'll go campaigning together. We'll do phone calls together. We'll meet like we are tonight, create some plans on how to move forward and how to set up booths at the flea markets, make cold calls together. We get connected with our family and friends. We use social media. So there's a structure here, a financial structure. Our financial structure is unique, and that when you work with us, it will feel like you're hired on to a company. And that's very important, that we create synergy. And then we do that. We create energy. We create teams. We compete against our teams. We develop teams rather than working for one company. Here's another distinction. And this is what I've been working on today. And I'm going to jump right into it, is rather than working for one company and only being able to generate one proposal, we're a company and we are contracted with several direct installers. So I'm not a company working with a company. We are actually direct installers with 5-star rated install companies. So we have partnership agreements. It has taken a long time for us to get this type of partnerships. And I believe that God at first has favored us in that. And we can generate proposals from direct installers. We can get 3 to 5 highly competitive proposals for your customers instead of just one. So if you want them to say, hey, I'm going to try this installer, I'm going to try this finance company, and if that's not low enough for them, go to another finance company. We have all of those connections that you can generate between 3 to 5 different proposals all through one company. So that's super cool. Moving forward, I have worked with CEOs and many various different companies. Like I said, all 5-star rated. We have contracted, and I believe with the best installers here in California. I was just on a phone call today with ESP, is the second largest growing installer in the state of California. They just took second place this last week, and it was just an incredible meeting with them and all of the things that they are offering our sales reps. They dropped the prices of the I have 2 installers that are dropping the prices of the batteries just so that we can send our contracts to them. So Last week, the same installer dropped it, and this other week today, they're competing against each other just so that we can send our projects to them and use their batteries. It's very interesting to see these guys race to the bottom.
How many different types of batteries are?
We only sell 2 types of We're gonna implement a third. It's called a graphene battery. We're gonna implement that soon. But for right now, we have the M-Phase and we have the Solar Edge battery. Those are the top of the line batteries. There's other batteries that are on the market we do not sell. They're not reputable and they don't keep up their just their credibility. So we're only gonna do the Solar Edge and the M-Phase right now. And we will replace, if we can, we're moving into that direction. We will replace those 2 batteries with the graphene battery. The graphene battery is just, it's an incredible battery. It just makes more sense to use that type of a battery system. But we are going to be educated more on that type of battery. But for now, it's only going to be those 3 that we'll sell because of their lifespan is one, and because of the warranties are the best.
How many times a week?
I would like to do once a week. I mean, even if I'm doing one-on-one, because the more you know, the better you are, the more confident that you become when you're selling, and it just starts coming out, and people just, they sign a contract when they think you know. That's another thing that's putting 70% of sales reps are hit hard by the industry right now. As a matter of fact, they're saying that they are going to kind of fall off the side, so to speak, if I could say it like that. And the reason why, because most sales reps were only selling a product that they knew nothing about. So you want to read your training materials and you want to study and you want to keep up with sales meetings that we do weekly, especially monthly, because you want to set yourself as an expert, not somebody selling the product. And it's very important when you're meeting with the customer, they will know by all of the bad reviews that they read, they will know whether you're, if you know, they will be able to tell right away if you know what you're talking about.
Who does the contract?
We do our contracts. We design our,
The salesperson?
the salesperson, the sales, after this meeting, we will set up another meeting where we will go over how to design your own contracts and you will get logins on yourself. You get your own logins. All of your contracts that you design, I will review them just to make sure there's no change orders or things like that. And we'll go over all of that in the future, but all of the sales reps will design their own contracts. Now, there's this an HIS license, and I know some of you have already applied for that. Some of you have not. You can still run your own contracts and design your own systems and submit that contracts to me or a representative. There will be a transaction coordinator. That transaction coordinator will also be able to generate some of your proposals for you. If you wanted to pass it on, there is a cost to that, but you can get a customer that says, yes, I want to go solar. Contact that transaction coordinator, given the address and the information. They design the proposal and then they contact your customer for the rest of the way to close, to install. That cost is going to be very, very inexpensive, but it releases the sales rep to get back out into the field and sell some more and not worry about the tedious things that come with contracts. Okay, so that option is available to our sales reps. We are contracted. Now, this isn't going to blow your mind. Most solar companies are only contracted with maybe 2 at the most finance companies. Right now, Power, a very large solar company, they're only contracted with 1 right now. But we are contracted with Everbright, Goodleaf, Dividend, Sunlight, Sonova, and about 4 credit unions that we can use to qualify people to go solar.
So that's 8 companies.
That's, yes. We just onboarded, we just got Everbright credentials this morning, and they're promising our team that they're going to be every dealer fee than Goodleaf and all of the other ones. And so that's what we onboarded. If we could bring our costs to go solar down, then that either leaves more profit margins or that leaves a lot better deals for our customers.
Question. Solar companies or finance companies, are they at different tiers? Like, the 720 scores and above, are they A tier, are they different tier companies?
They are different tier companies, and I will give you cheat sheets. And you want to just learn your cheat sheets on, for example, like GoodLeap is a 650 credit score or higher, but they have better rates. So if you've got better credit scores, you want to make sure, you know, you get your customers the best rate that they possibly can get. Now, here's a cool thing about this, having 8 different finance companies, is when you're going toe to toe with another sales rep, you're not going apples to apples on the same price. I did not want our sales reps to have to plummet their profit margins to be able to compete with another sales rep. I want you to be able, I want to take care of the finance portion of it and allow our sales reps to make the money and the income that they want to make. We cannot do that if I'm using the same finance company as my competitor, right? If I'm using the same finance company, the same rates, then all I have to do to win the deal here is to reduce my profit margins. Go ahead.
So the 650 score that you were just saying, they can get the same rate as somebody if they were 720.
No, they're with GoodLeap, yes. Yeah, but then you want to go and find out a company that has better rates with the 720 credit score. Yeah, so we'll have all that down on cheat sheets so that you'll be able to kind of maneuver through when you're designing your own proposals for that.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So when you're leasing and when you're buying the account, how do you go about leasing and like, how do you?
The advantage to leasing is that you have a lower monthly payment. And what I mean by lower monthly payment, let's say $50 a month. Now with leasing, you don't get your tax credit. The tax credit is issued, but the tax credit is given to the solar company. So that's why you have some companies that are on, you'll see them online where they're pushing the lease option because it takes the tax credit and instead of giving it to your customer, it gives it to the company. So these free power walls that they're pushing, well, they're willing to give you a free power wall if you give them that 30% tax credit. Okay, so lease option is an option under certain situations with certain customers. Maybe they're older, they don't want to buy out the system. Maybe they don't get tax anyway because they're on fixed income or they just don't make enough tax to get that. Then you can offer the lease option. But if they're paying into taxes and it's just then you want to push the purchase because it adds value to the property as well.
When you do the purchase, is there a way that they can get their expensing about cleaning the solar panel?
We can add that in there. Now that's another distinction of ours. We are allowing our sales reps to make those sort of rebates for the customers. Whatever is going to allow you to make the sale and to make the profits or be successful in what you're doing, we will allow that. So you can take a $350 and add it to the contract as a rebate. You can take it out of your commissions. You can lower it by $350. Will give you a better customer service for a lower price. I mean, to me, if somebody says, you know what, I'll give you free panel cleaning for the first year of service, and I know it's only going to cost me $300 or so, but I beat the competitor, I offered more value into my system, I would do that all day long. So you can do that. You can also talk to me about certain other campaigns like that, and that we can do maybe for 1 month, we'll offer free cleaning service. And we will contract directly with the cleaning service individual, cleaning service company. Yeah, we'll partnership with them and we'll make it happen. So that's basically what we're doing on that. So PPAs, you've heard mostly about that. Now, very briefly, we do residential. We're also doing commercial. The commercial aspect of doing solar on commercial properties is, I'll just give you a brief, and I'll actually talk to you about Nathan. He's actually running the commercial department. We have made a connection, and we're right now, as of this morning, we're gathering all of our paperwork to submit to solar, to commercial finance companies that will finance us directly for our commercial projects. Once that hits the ground, and we're not far from that, we have Motel 6 coming up that will be contracted with us. in Vallejo, and we've got Quality Inn that is going to be contracted, where we have 4 hotels that are already waiting for us to get our financing in order so that we can start that off the ground. It's amazing. I just talked to the commercial installers this morning. They're very excited to work with us. And so our company is small, obviously. We've got about 10 online and then us here today. But we will probably hit over $1 million in sales, probably by the end of the year, if not 2 million in sales. So I've got any questions on that? You can leave it on the comments and I'll answer them. We are able to do 17 states. So California is not the only one. We've got a install partner. They are nationwide install partner. They're called Palmetto. It's just a great company. And we have partnerships with them, and they are in 17 states that we can. So if you've got relatives in these states, we can submit contracts for them as well in different states. Okay, so that is, I believe, the end of that. Any questions so far? I don't want to take too much time, but I did want to just give you a brief overview of that. I also want to give you one more thing about the structure of the business. I want to show you guys really quickly. Can you see that?
Can you turn to the share screen again?
Share screen? Okay, let me minimize it. My boss over here is telling me to share my screen, so let me get back up here. I'm disabled again for some reason, I'm not sure. Can you guys see my screen online? Can you see it online, honey?
No.
Let me share this real quick. What's this disabled?
It's not disabled.
Hmm. Unless I'm already in the share screen mode. Oh, I'm over here. Here we go. Right there.
Oh, there you go.
Here we go. All right, guys, can you see it now? Hot in here. Can you see it now? No? You sure?
Yeah.
Uh,
This is here.
Let me try this again. Why doesn't it let me share this? You will let me, you allowed me to do it. No share screen again, guys. All right, maybe I'll just turn it and you can see it from the. Okay. Can't see it. All right, this is a horrible way of doing it. But it's not showing me, it's not allowing me to see for anymore. Anyhow, so here we go. So this is the structure of the business. So I know Nathan's on there, and before we hang up, maybe if you want to say a couple of things, he can. For the commercial side is Nathan, an excellent consultant already, very well experienced. He is actually bringing the commercial department, and we're gonna work on that together. But that's who is in managing the commercial side.
Can we do commercial too?
Yeah, you can sell commercial as well. You'll notice there's some churches that you'll see it on the utility bill. It'll say residential, and sometimes it'll say commercial. It's just that this building is probably, I don't even know if it's residential or commercial, just depends on what it says on the bill. If it says commercial, then it's a whole type of different design and setup and things and financing. So
far, my church, the one we just built,
mhm.
we don't have solar panels. I've been looking forward to getting into this just to offer them.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. So you can present to them, that we do commercial options and they, will run the designs and do all that for them. Yeah, so that's, Nathan is overseeing that. And then we have Raina. She's going to be working with me, executive assistant. So she will also have all of the sales training, all of those materials, all the questions about the finance companies, credit scores, all the things that we previously talked about. If I'm not available, too busy, she will be doing that as well. You'll have all of her contact information as well. Now, this is what I wanted to get to. You see these square, you guys probably see it on the left, these rectangles up here. Okay, so this is sales team 1. The goal is to have 5 sales teams. Okay, now what I've been doing, working on recently is hiring on what we call appointment setters. Okay, so the appointment setters, what these guys do, they go to flea markets. You can go to flea markets as well. We're going to organize all of that and put all of that on the calendar in your area. Okay, where you sit at a booth, you talk to people about solar, write their number down, name, number, and then you have a sales rep call them within 24 hours. So the appointment setters are the individuals that go to these places. We want our appointment setters to go out to these places and just get phone numbers, get contact information, whether they're cold leads, warm leads, or hot leads. So they're just going to have a form that they're going to fill out when they're sitting there at the booth. They're going to take those numbers down, and every hot lead, they are going to hand it to a sales associate, a sales consultant. That is an in-house generated lead. So for every one salesperson, we are going to assign 2 appointment setters for you. Okay, so you will have a lead source coming through the company. Now, these, of course, they're going to be paid. The appointment setters are going to be paid, and they're going to be paid very well. But they're also going to be one river of income for you. You can take it and use it, or you don't have to use it.
I know one that it's like $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, no. That one is, yeah.
This one right here, we're paying our appointment setters $250, and some of them online. This is another option. If you don't want to be a sales rep, you can, if you're online, be an appointment setter, and all you're doing is writing interested people's phone numbers down. And you can generate them through the online social media. No matter how you generate it, it's $250 per appointment that goes solar. Okay, so the appointment setter is not writing down a bunch of cold phone numbers of random people. They're actually communicating with individuals and seeing if they're interested in solar. Then that becomes a warm lead or a hot lead. That lead is then passed on to a sales rep. Okay, so the sales rep has that stream or that option of receiving leads from that source. So
you guys have those already?
we have, some of them are online right now, and some of them I did hire on this week. I'm not sure if he's online or not. But solely all they want to do is just appointment setting. They don't want to sell the solar, they just want an appointment set. And that's going to be an ongoing open position for individuals to go to booths. And we do have actually several of them that are anxious to actually get out to appointments. If you're Spanish speaking, you might want, we can set up Spanish speaking appointment setters, and they all go to the same Spanish sales rep. So we don't want our sales reps overwhelmed with having to generate their own leads by themselves and, and that sort of thing. We wanted to create as a company where there was a source of leads coming into us, where you didn't have to constantly and only self-generate your own leads.
That would be a thing.
Question. And you know, when we talked a while back about going to flea markets, farmers markets.
Yes.
Are we gonna get flyers if they ask for flyers? Say, hey, we can,
Yes,
like, something that's gonna make us stand out.
absolutely.
Yeah, you know what, I want to talk to you.
Yes. So right now we're having shirts designed for shirts, tablecloths, booth setups, the canopies, everything out there that is going to be just a really awesome experience for people going solar. I'm actually working on with one of our installers to have a demo panel, a solar panel that we can set up. Just to kind of, spruce up that booth and look really nice. Juan is actually giving us a contact for farmers markets.
I
And
want to do the farmers.
farmers markets, flea markets, different things like that, wherever we can go to set up community events that'll allow us to be there. And that is another thing that we are actually working on.
So to get started, we have to have the HIS license.
You don't have to have your HIS license to get started. Most of the larger companies, they don't have their sales reps have the HIS license. They just kind of work under one license, which would be my license. You can do that, or you can get your own sales license, and that's fine as well. There's no difference in commission. I'm not cutting commissions out because you do or you don't have your license. It's always good to have your license. If you're interested in being a sales rep and wanting your license, there's probably about a $400 cost to it, something like that. If you choose to go that route, if not, it's okay as well.
Because I have a lot of people in my business. But I haven't given them to nobody because I was so afraid they wouldn't give me a good deal, 'cause
Yeah, we won't sell. That is our guarantee that we're not going to sell a system that doesn't have the same value. We're not making $20,000, $15,000 commissions with systems that are not, that doesn't hold their value.
I have a two daycares that I'm thinking about.
Yes, we can design, and that was another thing. We will have all of the flyers and the marketing material at the booths as well. Digital marketing material as well. We'll send that through your email to all of the sales reps and the appointment setters. You're not creating that's the thing with Solar Energy Plus is you're not creating your own business by yourself. You don't have to do the marketing. You don't have to create the ad. We already created all of that stuff, and we're still creating all of those things. And basically all you do is you pull it out of a file and you want to send it through text, through email, however, you just pull it out of your folders that you get, your digital folder, and so the resources are going to be available to you. Yeah. Any questions online? I know you can probably hardly see me now, but any questions online? Okay. So that's pretty much what it is right now. If there's anybody online that you want to, oh yeah, I shut it off. My computer's about to. Anyone online that wants to share thoughts, excitement, questions, you can go ahead and unmute your phones.
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey, I just wanted to say I'm super excited about commercial. I don't know how many of you want to work in commercial, but I think a lot of times we go hit a lot of neighborhoods, but in the meantime, we would drive past a ton of commercial buildings where one commercial deal would be like 7 houses if you do it right. And it's just a matter of targeting it and getting the right, the right owner of the business or the facility. But I'm super excited about it. I work in an industry over here in the Bay Area, and I deal with small business, large business owners all the time. And I would say at least 85 to 90% don't have solar and have thought about it, but just don't really know what to do next, or there's not financing lined up. So we're trying to put some of that in place to answer those questions ahead of time, because it's a massive market. And I've actually been looking at some of the small cities over here and going to meet with us, like the councils, and say, look, the city council say, why don't we mandate this for every roof, every commercial space that has the ability and the strength and the design to mandate this, as a retrofit. A lot of the new stuff coming out already has stuff in place that's as far as their building codes, where they have to build it according to handle the weight for solar. So I'm just super excited. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for us to get into a lot of cities, get our card in there, get our company in there as somebody that can offer commercial in any city, basically in the valley up here. And large amount of possibility, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I was actually reading the Inflation Reduction Act that took place, I believe it was last November. So that part of that Inflation Reduction Act was that they were going to largely tax and penalize commercial buildings that were using an excessive amount of power.
Yeah,
So
part
if
of their
they're
carbon footprint, yeah.
Yeah, so if they're using so much power, they were actually gonna be paying higher taxes. So right now, it's actually a very good market to be in, is in the commercial.
Absolutely, and I think that's all has to do with that carbon footprint of the building. So if I can come in and say, look, you're gonna pay, 100% of the tax, or I can reduce it by 50%, because I can reduce your carbon footprint, how much is that worth to you in the long run, Huge,
Absolutely.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and we're working on that. Charlie is getting all of his paperwork. He's the install team. He's getting it together. And then we're gonna send all those documents into the finance options that you gave us.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's where we're
Super
at on that. Yep,
What's that?
that's where we're at, right? That's where
Oh,
we're at
okay,
as of
perfect.
today on that.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Anyone-
good.
Anyone else online?
Hi, this is Raina.
Oh, hey, Raina.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm really excited to work with everyone. I hope to meet all of you soon. And just super excited about this journey that we're all going to start taking together.
Thanks, Raina. Anyone else online? Any questions about battery, solar, or anything before we hang up? Okay. Rosalinda, did you have something?
I do. Hi, my name is Linda. I wanted to know about selling at the flea markets. Like, I'm in a different city. I'm in Modesto, so will that be happening over here as well?
Yes. So if you're a sales rep and you have a campaign idea, like what Rosalind was talking about, the flea market, and you will actually go and sit there, we will make the connections, we will get it established, and we will get the date on the calendar so that you can go and do that. Yeah, you let me know what Saturday do you have available, and we'll make the connections, and we'll give you the actual to make it happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and no matter what city, if you're in Atwater, we'll do it in Atwater. If you're wherever you want to work. Now, Stockton has same day permits. So when you're having to wait, 3 weeks for an install, in Stockton, it's 1 day. So if you want to go and go to Stockton and set up a booth and get paid like in weeks, that's the place to do it in Stockton.
Okay,
Because there's no lapse in time. You don't have to wait 3 weeks for a permit.
okay.
So,
They have a lot, farmers market, a lot of people can go there.
oh, yeah,
It's like they start at 5 to 8. I want to do that one too.
okay.
In the afternoon? Yeah, it's 5 to 8 on Thursdays, and you have to go through the Chamber of Commerce, and I have a business card from, well, all you gotta do is call really.
Yeah.
And then they give you an application to fill out, which Thursday's gonna be there.
Mhm.
Are you gonna be there in the winter, the summer, stuff like that? It's the same paper with Chris Tuchek, at the farmers market in Tracy.
Okay.
Every Saturday.
Okay. So Tracy, Modesto, Lodi, and then Antioch. So we've got 4 places to set up so far. And that'll be a great source of leads. Okay, so anyways, if no one else has any, so right now, basically what we're doing right now, so we've come together with a plan. Now what we're going to do is use your first source of leads. The average person has 457 contacts in their phone. That's the average person. Your first source of leads is already in your hand. That's where I started. Just created a digital flyer and send it through text, just blasted everybody. Some of them didn't want my text, but now I get return calls on questions all the time about solar or, my brother's not on here. I just blasted him yesterday about it. He's very excited about joining our team as well. Jerry, no, Israel, my brother Israel. So that's your first source. So when you leave here, what you want to do is you want to write down all of the people that are homeowners. Just write them all down and then campaign those individuals, whether you're emailing, text messaging, catching them on social media, and you're not selling solar. All you're doing is you're letting them know that you are a representative now. If you have solar questions, If you want a battery, if you have questions about your true up, if you want somebody, if you got a true up bill and you're upset and you want to, come and holler at me about it. Let them know I'm their person. We could fix a true up bill by adding a battery in there. And there's battery financing, battery only financing. The other thing that we just implemented today, just started today, was that we can get a roof only still. So if you sold a roof, let's say the customer did, you can combine the roof with the solar. But if your customer does not want to combine roof and solar and only wants a new roof, you can also do that on the same solar design. And 30% of the cost is your commission. So you take that, that's a great commission. 30% of a roof. Depends on the size of the house, yes. But that is available also
Are
through
you visiting?
roofs. No, that just became available today. We could do roof only today. You can do a roof solar combo or roof only through the same proposal.
So with their electric bill, you can tell what kind of deal we can give them then, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's on demand. We can generate a proposal on demand. So if you're sitting with your customer and you type in all of that information, it'll give you the cost. Now, before you show somebody the cost, you want to make sure you sold them on solar and showed them the diagram that he showed you earlier. Because you don't want to give them a number and then they think, well, that's too expensive. What's expensive is if they stay with their traditional utility company. So you might want to actually go over that document first that he had presented in the beginning, and everyone will have that in your emails by design that you can edit. You go over that first. Once you tell them you're paying $150,000 over the next 25 years, if you stay doing what you're doing, then you present to them a proposal that's only 40,000 or 50,000 over 25 years. It's a huge savings over 25 years. So you want to set it up that way first. So you want to go over that document first, so they don't see that you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Salespeople know what I'm talking about, because we're not convincing people to get into a situation that is not good for them. The entire engine, the United States, the world is moving to clean energy.
What's really the best deal to do? Is it just case by case or what?
The best deal is giving them a system with a battery. Is it going to be the best value for into the system? Yeah. Solar alone is not valuable because of the true up, because of the net metering. So solar with the battery is what makes it valuable right now.
How much warranty do they have?
Battery warranties? Battery warranties are 15 years. Now the sales rep can add a 25-year warranty onto that battery. Yeah. And it's workmanship warranties. So in other words, if something happens, somebody comes out, they are not going to charge you $350 for the trip. The trip is also covered. So that's another distinction that we offer our customers, is the workmanship warranty on our warranties.
Is there certain sizes of battery?
Yes.
So
We have 3 kilowatt batteries, 6 kilowatt batteries, 10 kilowatt batteries, 13 kilowatt batteries, 20 kilowatt batteries. And that's the other cool distinction between us as well, is that we have the options of selling technically anything you want. Whereas other companies are only selling the 10 kilowatts or the 13.5. Yeah. And we'll go over all of this as we move along. As we move along in our sales trainings and get all of these things down. For right now, we are creating our database. That's our first step right now. Create your database, because you can make a very, very good income on one sale.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Along those lines? So, and this is because every company has its own culture. Every company has its culture. And one thing, and I think it's very important, is always add value to the client. Always add value to the client. And one thing about the solar industry, because it is unregulated. It's like, I started doing mortgages back in before the 2008 crash, and it was unregulated back then, and that's how the mortgage, the solar industry is. It is unregulated. So you have people, they're making, trying to make their 3-month income off of 1/7. And the reality, when you're in sales, there's only 2 ways to make money. It's either volume and cost. Okay, and if you're cost, if you're trying to get as much out of one transaction, well, that's not a long-term plan for success. You got to value your time, but it's one of those things where you don't need it. My opinion, and I think having to make 15 or 20,000 on deal doesn't make, it seems too much. And my wife and I, the way we sell our systems is $48,000. And we tend to be on the low end just because it's a volume thing. We got to make sure we add value, and again, it's because we all share we all share reputation when we work for the same team, and so that's just my advice about that. There's cost and volume, and I think volume is a good way to build a sales team.
So $48,000 is a very good income on one deal. That's my opinion. I mean, how many hours do you have to work on a job to make that much money? You got to work 40 hours a week, at least to make that much money. So it's definitely there. And that's residential. That's not the commercial side. The commercial side will develop how much, if you're a sales rep on the commercial side, if you're going to work underneath Nathan on that. But for the residential side, that's, very, very good income. And it varies because of the kilowatt size. Some people have smaller systems. Some people just don't use a lot of, so that's more on the, 3,000, 4,000, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Even if they don't use a lot of electricity, it's always a good idea on the solar, right?
To me, if they don't use a lot of because of the because it is going higher.
Yeah. Okay.
I was telling my husband today, when I age, I want my bills to go down, not up. And PG&E is probably PG&E and the mortgage is the only things that are going up as we retire. Yeah. So anyways, if no one has anything else, nobody got any questions, anything else to say? I hope we've covered plenty about the company. This is just pretty much what we are, how we do it. Our financing options are the best. They're not going to be better. And I'm telling you, I've already been there.
I have a question.
Okay.
What areas, how far do you cover?
We cover all of California.
Cities? Okay.
Every city. Yeah. We cover all of California. There are some homes that are in like the mountains. Those will be considered like off-grid. But other than that, we cover the entire state of California and then 17 other states outside of California.
Okay.
There's a twisted mind. I don't think so.
I have a question.
Oh, it doesn't share my screen, remember? Yeah, it's still not allowing me to share screen. So yeah, Texas is another one that we're going to be aggressively moving into in the next little while, probably within the next 6 months. And there's other parts of the business for community solar. We did contract with the community solar. Basically, what community solar is a company, a billion dollar company is going to invest into creating a solar farm. That solar farm is going to give residential customers electricity. So they'll be able to draw power from the solar farms. So our company, Solar Energy Plus, is contracted with that developer that's doing that. If our sales reps, and you'll know more about this moving on into the future, wanted to get your customers into that solar farm, you will get a residual income. Every month they pay their bill to the solar farm, you'll receive a residual income from that. That's another stream or another source of income that we can generate besides selling. And renters can go on to that as well. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that as we move along, but that's another way of generating income besides selling and appointment setters. All right, guys, I don't want to take too much of your time. If nobody pops on, I'm going to exit off. If you are interested in moving forward, just send me a quick text, whether it's appointment setter, salesperson, and we will get you going and more aggressively and give you the campaign endeavors.